Most sales reps don't lose deals because they say the wrong thing. They lose them because they say the right thing, but with the wrong tonality. I've watched over 1,000 recorded sales calls with people who've closed multi six figures and seven figures. Two reps can say the same exact thing while one comes out with the payment and the other one gets ghosted. In this video, I'm going to break down why tonality is the real decision maker on every single call, what happens psychologically when you use the wrong tone at the wrong moment, and the exact tonality shifts top reps use when they're faced with money, objections, and pressure show up on your sales calls. What's going on YouTube today? Core concept of tonality, why it's important, and how you guys, by the end of this video, can actually be able to use it to your advantage and start implementing as fast as today. Now, the core concept, what is tonality? Tonality is the emotional meaning behind your words. Right? Understand this, 93% of communication is nonverbal. So when you understand that, you can often tell a lot by a person by the way their body language is and their facial expressions. You can often tell how a person's feeling, what they're thinking, and what their reaction is going to be, right? Prospects respond to states, not scripts, and your tone puts people in current states, right? You have to understand that the state that you put a prospect in is all based off of your tone. Your tone determines the safetiness, the openness, the truth, the leverage, and the close. It affects the percentage of how open these people are, right? Obviously, if you have 100% close, that means the prospect feels like you, one, were telling the truth. They could be 100% open with you. They can be 100% truthful with you. That gives you 100% leverage and gives you 100% close, right? That's like what I would think when it comes to percentage based. And a lot of times people who don't understand that this is the core concept of tone and why it is important are often people who are tone deaf, and you can see their show up rate suffering and their close rate suffering. This is one of the very first things that I touch upon on my one-on-one mentorship, because you have to understand tone is the very first impression that you give off when you are speaking to a prospect. That's why for all of my sales reps that come to me that are currently struggling, that's the first thing that we work on is tonality, because it is so important. Just making a couple little changes to your tone can drastically increase your show up rate and close rate. So if you're interested in helping your close rate, helping your show rate increase, go ahead, click that first link below. We'll go ahead and just jump straight into the next part. What does your tone communicate instantly? Are you safe? Are you threatening? Are you real? Are you fake? Are you a leader or follower? Do you actually believe in what you're saying? Should I trust you or protect myself? Now, why is this important? You have to understand the very first one I want to touch upon is, do you actually believe what you're saying? A lot of times, most reps will put on this front, put on a act like, they're this guy who is super serious when it comes to online business, when it comes to actually making more money. And a good majority of sales reps are, but then you have those people that are putting on a front, putting on a lie that you can easily tell, like, okay, this person doesn't live by the words that he's saying. And especially as a sales rep, you always want to be a man of your word, woman of your word, because when you're conveying this energy off to a prospect and they can automatically feel like, yeah, this person doesn't do what he wants, you're going to easily be able to tell, right? How can you tell somebody to invest into themselves, get to the next level of training, and you won't do the same thing either, right? Like, you're not doing everything possible to increase your commission, increase your show up, increase your close rate. It doesn't work, right? When it comes to safe, threatening, real or fake, like I said, it's gonna come when it comes to, are you safe, are you threatening, are you real or fake, it's gonna go ahead and bounce off of your tone, right? Like, what is this person saying in this specific scenario? Can I actually trust what he's saying, right? And coming off as a leader, coming off as an authority, because you can't be the sales rep that's getting bullied, pushed around on the call, because if you are, right, I won't personally hire anybody who's just going to go ahead and get bullied on the call. It just doesn't make any sense. So if with you coming in here with the energy of just being able to get pushed around, being able to get bullied pretty easy, how do you expect the prospect to respect you, one, and actually want to commit to a program when you can't even do everything possible to put yourself in the best position, right? Again, when it comes to the neuroscience of tonality, right, now we're getting into the actual science behind it, is your brain evaluates tone before it evaluates content. What does this mean? Your tone is going to be the very first impression that somebody gets off of you. Before they go ahead and go through the material, before they go ahead and listen to you breaking down the program, they're going to go based off of your tone. And if your tone feels off, they're going to be emotionally disconnected, allowing you not to get the answers that you want. And again, if your tone feels safe, it's going to do the exact opposite. They're going to open up, tell you their life stories, tell you their dreams, their aspirations. And when you're going through a sales call, right, if you're a person that's like I've noticed that I'm asking these questions and I'm not getting the answers that I want, or I'm not being able to build up a real connection. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be your tone. And again, that's the first thing that I touch upon when it comes to working with me one-on-one as a sales rep, because you have to understand the whole premise of what we do, especially in info sales, is getting somebody to transfer and actually understand that if they want to get to that second version of themselves, they're going to have to transform their mind and align with that new self. And if you, as a sales rep, can't even break them open to understand that, how can you expect them to want to go ahead and pay you guys $5,000, $6,000? And you yourself as a sales rep want to make 10, 15, 20,000, but you can't even allow prospects to open up. Right? Now, emotional regulation. Now, why is this important? It's because your tone, right? Your tone regulates their nervous system, right? Through pacing, tone, and breath pauses. Oh, hold on. Pacing, tone, and breath pauses. When you're calm, they're going to be calm. When you're rushed, they're going to be rushed. When you're slow plus grounded, you're going to get those deep answers. Again, this is going to align to this openness, right? Being slow, being grounded, actually staying firm when you're asking these big questions that you're really wanting to get the answer to, that's going to allow the question or allow the call to move forward. Because you have to understand, a call is either going to go forward or backwards. You guys want the call to always be going forward. You guys should be asking questions, and your tone should line up to the way you're asking these questions as well. So when it comes to this next part, they're going to mirror your exact emotional state. This is why when you're calm and certain, they're going to be calm and certain, right? It changes their behavior. Why you're going to, when you're rushed and when you're pressured, it's going to destroy trust, allowing you and your prospect to emotionally disconnect again, ending in no sell, even a no show if you're a setter, right? Status signaling, right? Your tone shows whether you are a high status advisor, a low status rep. People can feel whether you're a top dog or you're a person who doesn't have any self-belief, right? Having a overfilled confidence in yourself and in the product is going to convey so much over the call through your tone, right? If you actually genuinely believed if this person did not take the step, it's going to ruin their life forever, you would do everything possible to convey that in your tone. This is what we mean when it comes to the status of yourself as a rep, right? All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and touch upon the 5 tones. And as you guys can see, the very first one is just being curiosity, right? So this is here to lower resistance and open them up. This is going to be sounding a little bit softer. And the best advice that I can give anybody who struggles with tonality is just generally use facial expressions, generally use your hands. Like we kind of talked about, 93% of communication is nonverbal. So the more you can act out the emotion, the more it can actually convey on the phone call or closing call. All right. So using curious tonality is best when using discovery, extracting info, getting deeper questions, and the reason why this works is because this is going to allow you to be not seen as a threat. They're going to relax. They're going to open up, and the real truth emerges, allowing you to actually leverage that later on to the call. Again, you see how all these things kind of wrap in together. Like I mentioned at the start, the tone determines the leverage and the close, right? And the safetyness of how they actually perceive you. Right now, a couple of phrases, and these are all can be subject to change depending on offer, depending on ICP. But walk me through that. Help me understand this. Talk to me. What made you look into this, right? Or just genuinely asking what made you do this, or why? Just genuinely being curious, like you're coming to them as a big brother, being genuinely curious about what they're doing, right? Being sincere, right? The purpose is to build trust, emotional safety. How this kind of sounds is warm, present, and then a slight tonal drop from being curious, right? So I'm sure you guys know what being sincere is like when somebody is giving you a gift, or when somebody is genuinely pouring their heart out to you. Like, you can't help but be sincere. So you want to convey that on the call when somebody's opening up, telling you their life story. Because as a closer, as a setter, you need to be appreciative of that, because a lot of people are not going to just open up to a complete random stranger. Because you have to understand, at the end of the day, guys, these are complete random strangers and they're telling you their life story. So, be accepting of that. Be like, okay, like, I appreciate you being real with me. Thank you for sharing that. This allows me to help, XYZ, things of that nature, right? Humans trust people who validate their experience. That is why being sincere is such an underrated skill to master. Now, concern, right? Slow down, heavy, and being empathetic, right? This is best when exploring pain points, discovering struggles, talking about frustration and stagnation, right? So, how long has this been going for? No, I wouldn't necessarily use it with, actually you can. Like, what have you done to get to people being stuck? And again, I have this sort of framework in my setting script. I have it on YouTube. I even go with this on my one-on-one coaching, because it's so important to understand what parts of the call. Like, when you have a framework that's super dialed, you should know, okay, during this part of the call, let me use this tonality. During this part of the call, let me be concerned. This part of the call, let me be curious, right? Understanding when to use it and actually leverage it is going to allow you to tap into a whole different level, right? As a sales rep, you have to understand that there's really levels to this game, and the better you can get with unlocking these levels, the more commission that you'll make, right? Having assumptive confidence. Now, leading with certainty, right? This is direct, steady, and intentional. This is explaining the solution, explaining the plan, and reframing limiting beliefs, right? Now, this, like I said, goes down the path when you're either sharing your screen, when you're talking to them about, what is in the actual product, because the more certain you sound with the product, the more you sound like, okay, this can genuinely change your life. The prospect's going to feel like that, okay, this is made directly for me, and it's going to overcome any doubt. Again, this is why it works, because it's going to overcome any doubt, right? Calm certainty, right? The purpose is to remove doubt at the decision, low, slow, absolute belief, no question marks. That's how it sounds. This is when you use price, objections, commitments, and deposits, right? So you want to be super, super calm. You don't want to be, okay, here the payment comes up, it's $6,000 payment, and you're sitting here shaking. You're sitting here like, sweating profusely. Like, you want to be calm in the situation, like you've done this a million times, because when somebody feels like you believe in them more than they believe in themselves, they're going to trust you, right? And you can actually relay that super well through calm certainty, right? And again, this is why it works. Now, the tonality map. Now, this is the setter and versus closers, because again, there's going to be two parts of, sales reps. So this is like what I would do for most of the calls that I have. Again, this isn't my exact framework, but opening, discovery, pain, offer overview, book the call, wrap up, right? So it's going to show you guys exactly how to go ahead and use it throughout the call, right? So opening, I'd be sincere, discovery, curious, pain, concern, offer overview, like confidence, book the call, calm certainty. Like, right, when you hear somebody say, okay, they have $5,000, don't start jumping up and down. And then wrap up the call, warm confidence, right? Again, with the close, it's going to be grounded certainty. Objections blend concern plus curiosity plus certainty. Again, because you want to be there for them, but you also want to be very, very calm and actually concerned about what's stopping them from making the best decision of their life, right? Price, calm certainty. Solution, assumptive confidence. Transition, slow confidence. Pain, concern. Discovery, curiosity. Rapport, sincere. All right. Now, the power of pauses, right? Being able to pause in calls is super, super important that people do not actually understand. And it allows your brain to, one, go ahead and process. It forces you to think about the actual question deeper. It signals that you actually know what you're talking about. You're somebody of a high status. It slows the conversation down. Again, you are the one in control. So you wanting to slow down the conversation shows just how control you are of the situation. Makes your words hit harder. Again, it's going to allow your brain to process things more deeply. allowing the prospect to have a deeper emotional state when they're answering these questions, right? And essentially where to pause after these heavy questions, after they reveal pain, after stating price, after they give surface answers, and before delivering a reframe, right? What does the wrong tonality do? Now, a lot of you guys, again, have wrong tonality and it's causing so much of your calls to suffer. You guys could be hitting so much more higher commissions, so much of a higher show up rate, close rate, and just becoming a better sales rep, a better salesperson overall if you guys master tonality. This is why it's one of the very first modules and things that I talk about on my one-on-one calls with my one-on-one students, because it is super, super important that you guys are able to nail this down, because the more you're able to nail this down, the more you're able to actually nail this tonality, the more money that you will essentially make. Being too confident too early, it makes you sound super salesy. It's going to trigger resistance and it's going to allow emotional shutdown from the prospect. Again, the whole idea behind being a sales rep, especially in info, is that you guys have to have alignment on where the prospect wants to go and build up an emotional connection. Now, the wrong tone for number 2 is a weak price tone. So when you make the price feel unsafe, it's going to create doubt and it's going to lead to let me think about it. So again, if you guys, every single time you guys drop the price, again, you guys are most likely using a very, very weak tonality, right? When it comes to price. Like I said, scroll up or rewind the video to see exactly the tone that you guys want to use when it comes to actually saying the price, right? Wrong tone, excited around pain. So breaks rapport, makes them feel invalidated, and they're going to stop sharing the truth, right? If you're over here smiling or, let's just say you hear something that it's like, okay, yeah, this guy is definitely going to be a buyer. You have so much pain and, the prospect can just feel like you're getting excited over it. That's going to cause resistance on a whole nother level, right? Because now the prospect feels like, okay, this person just being a dickhead, right? Wrong tone. 4, right? Having an apologetic leadership tone shows low status. They don't trust your plan. And then they're going to take control of the call. So you have to understand these prospects are coming to you guys and you can't let them walk all over you or even just be super apologetic. Like, you're apologizing for them getting on the call. Number 5, 6, and 7. Now, no emotional impact, zero urgency, and they stay surface level. This is when you're using a flat tone on deep questions. And it's not going to have the emotional impact that you want. It's not going to build up urgency, and they're going to stay surface level. We want, when we're asking these deep questions, for them to go, not even second level to the third level, like really give us down to the root of the problem, stuff that's happened such a long time ago that it's not just going to be the answer that they tell everybody. All right. Because we want them to be open and honest with us. Now, pressure tone during objections. When you're using a super pressure tone trying to get the person to buy on the spot, it's going to activate a flight or flight. They're going to get defensive or they're going to shut down. Right? So they're either going to, either way, they're going to be running away from the sale. It's going to do the exact opposite. You're thinking, okay, I just need to push this guy. I just need to push this guy. I just need to push this guy over the line. When the exact opposite, like, sometimes it's good to pull back, right? It's good to challenge your prospect, but sometimes it's good to pull back and actually make the prospect convince themselves that, okay, I'm ready, I'm the one. And again, a lot of these things are all based off of how your tone starts off at the beginning of the call. These are things that are all preventative if you can just master your tonality in the beginning of the call, because it's going to carry you throughout the rest of the call. Now, the last and final step, and now the last and final one. Now, last and not least, having a timid reframe tone. They do not accept your challenge. They're going to have limiting beliefs and stay intact, and no breakthrough equals no close, right? So when you're being timid, when you're trying to reframe the prospect's mind from how they've been thinking for the last 5 years, they're not going to be convinced of anything that you say. They're not going to accept the challenge, and they're just going to curl back in the ball and then just go ahead and live the same life. And it's because of the tonality you used, right? Identify how your tone changes. Now, what do I mean by this, right? Your tone reflects your identity. You identify yourself as just a rep, a closer, an advisor, and a guide. It's going to be the exact way the tone reflects when you're on the call, right? Like when I hop on the call, I'm thinking I'm the guy who's going to change this person's life. I'm the boss. I'm the person they're coming to help them make their lives significantly better. And that's the tone I'm going to use throughout the whole entire call, right? And internal beliefs that can actually shape tone are your relationship with money. A lot oftentimes I see prospects or even sales reps with a weak tone that have a bad relationship with money. Either they're not heavy liquid on cash, or they just make bad financial decisions. Their relationship with money is going to impact their tone significantly. Your belief in the product, your fear of rejection, your confidence in your skill set, all of these matter. And I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory on why they impact your tone. But again, having an actual belief in the product, you never want to sell something that you don't believe is going to get results, because people are going to be able to feel that, like, okay, I don't even think I'm going to be able to get results. And then again, if they feel like this can't even get them results, there's no point of you even being on the call. Fear of being rejected. This is sales. You're going to hear no's. Just learn how to deal with it and get past it. Try to limit the no's as much as possible. Your confidence in your skill set. Just because you hear a no a couple of times doesn't mean you're the worst closer, but it doesn't mean you'll never close again, right? A no is a no. And this is for that specific example. Your confidence in your skill set, the best way to understand is that at the end of the day, guys, these people are coming to you. If they show up on the call, they want to buy something. They want to buy something. So you have to understand that you're not forcing them to do anything that they want. You're not, putting a gun to their head or anything like that. You're the person that they're coming to for help, and just be there as a guide, right? And it's going to allow your skill set to just flourish. Now, elite tone comes from this: self-regulation, internal certainty, a clear identity, and detached confidence. They're not detached to the sale, guys, right? Here is the tone that I would use and the goals for setters versus closers, right? Now, these are some of the things that I will just go ahead and screenshot, guys, because this is super, super important when it comes to the goals and tones. And oftentimes, even if you guys go back to a couple of my old videos, I share this with you guys, right? Like why the tonality is super important, and even during what part of my calls, right? But again, the closer goal is not to sound too salesy, not to rush to discovery, not to slow down on pain, being too excited or pushy. The setter goals are building safety, exact the truth, qualify accurately, book calls with high intent. Now, the tone is going to be the same exact thing as what we mentioned earlier in the closer mistakes: being overconfident, weak price tone. When it comes to the flat emotional questions, matching their fear instead of regulating it. So matching their fear instead of, calming the person down and actually being the person who's in charge of the call. Setter mistakes, sounding too salesy, rushing discovery, not slowing down on pain, and being too excited or pushy. Now, guys, that is going to wrap it up for the exact tonality. This was a 27-minute long video. Hope you guys got a lot of sauce out of this. I will catch you guys. Stay tuned for the outro, because I'm going to show you guys exactly how you guys can use this and implement this for your next sales call today. Peace. Okay, guys, that is going to wrap up the video. As always, if you guys like these sort of videos, like, comment, subscribe, what you would like to see else. And make sure to, if you are a offer owner or a sales rep that want to improve their skill level or just work with me one-on-one, make sure you guys go ahead and click that first link in the bio. If it makes sense, I will see you guys on the other side. Peace.